All right, we're back. Hey, everybody, it's Kev Hempel with Freestone Reconstruction and B. Taylor Painting. And on the show today, we have Mr. Dennis Dumas from DFIT. How's it going, Dennis?
It's going great, brother. How are you?
Good, good, good. So we invited Dennis on the show because he is a businessman and a person that I look to as a physical fitness advisor. And he's done a lot in the fitness industry. And this week, I happened to be on a call with him, a video chat at a noon class that he was doing online. And I was really impressed about how he was communicating to his clients and everything else. And I thought it would be a great idea to bring him on to hear some ideas about staying mentally fit during this time period that we're experiencing, and the importance of just staying comfortable mentally. And then we have Erik Olson from Freestone Reconstruction, account manager. We also have Justin Pastorius from Freestone Reconstruction, and then Laura Ravazza from HMC, and Christie Bravo from Bravo Roofing. So everyone's doing okay?
Yep.
Awesome. All right. So Dennis, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us what you do, and kind of talk to us a little bit about communication, the whole shelter in place, and what do you think where we're at? Like, we want to hear some exciting stuff about how you're reaching out to your clients as well.
So first of all, thank you for inviting me to come and talk. I enjoy doing these kinds of things. You mentioned earlier the idea of having different industries come together to share best practices, and how that can be beneficial for cross-industry education and success and so on. What's interesting is I actually grew up in the construction industry. So I'm an electrical contractor. I grew up in lighting. My formal education is actually in architecture and engineering. And so I've been in your guys' shoes and, on projects with people like you guys and the things that you do for most of my life. Fitness has been for the past, 12 or 15 years, somewhere in there. I've been in the fitness business. I've been earning money in the fitness business, so being a so-called professional since about 2008-9. So it's an interesting tie-in for you having me on to get to talk to this, because I feel like I can speak to the mindset of a lot of parts of what you guys are experiencing as well, and kind of tie that together with the mental health and physical side of stuff. So first of all, for us, coming out of going into this whole quarantine thing, the primary focus for me and for our business was to immediately begin to communicate. And it didn't need to be perfect communication. It didn't need to be, all formal and pretty, and it didn't have to have an app. We didn't need to have all of the like you said a second ago, the fake background and all of that. What was important to us is that we were able to immediately turn something on that brought us to the same place as all of our clients. And we were immediately able to meet them where they were. And that was the critical first step that we had to take. And we did that immediately. We started within 12 hours or so of the maybe 12 to 18 hours of the lockdown. We were already on camera teaching our first class. So we didn't miss a beat. And I think number one thing out of the gate as far as communication to clients is being there for them immediately, so that they're not left to ponder or left to worry or left to have questions. So, for us, no matter what your message is, whether you have a client who is an HOA and they owe money, or you're going to suspend their account, or whatever it is, whatever your answer is, people just need to hear it. And so that there's some certainty. And I think that as far as communication is concerned, what we've been focused on is that focus on the immediate controllable aspects of this experience. And as leaders in your particular fields, my best advice would be to give people as much information as possible, whether it's good or bad, right? Even if, for example, if we have a building whose landlord says, sorry, you're going to have to just pay your full rent. Now, at least I know, right? And if I have a landlord who's going to give us a percentage off on the rent, at least I know. And so that, for me, that's been really super important, is just to get information to people so that you alleviate the stress of the unknown. That's been a primary thing. And then once we get that settled up, once we know, these are the things that I need from you, and these are the things I'm going to give you, and these are the things you need from me. Now we all know those responsibilities we have to one another. Then we can start talking about the service part of it. And for you guys are all in the service business, and so are we. So right out of the gate, how are you going to continue to serve clients, even though you might not be able to put a new roof on, you might not be able to get to them for paint, you might not be able to take a new quote? They're still your client, and you still need to show them that you care. And so providing immediate service on some level is critical. And I think that's kind of the direction you're trying to go with giving them something to hear from you guys. And for us, that's been critical. That call that you got on is our noon mindset call. And we do it every day at noon. And people jump on, and we pick a new topic that's applicable to the situation. And then we just have a free conversation about it. And we let people talk. We let people share their emotions, their fears, their experiences, and we share ours. But when we're very candid and honest with them, and I think at this point, that is critical as service people, to not try to act like we're okay, but to actually let everybody know we're all really on the same playing field right now. We're all scared, but because you're my client, here are the things I'm going to do to serve you, because you've been taking care of us and giving us business for however long it may have been. And so for that, I'm going to rise above my fear for you for this moment and serve you. And that's really been our kind of our key principle, is that, the fear and the unknowns, as leaders, as service providers, we got to rise up above that a few times a day and give back to the people who have made it possible for us to continue in the industries that we enjoy.
How are you doing that, Dennis? Like it's through Facebook, Instagram. Is there other way at Zoom? Like how?
No, I suck at Instagram. I'm still using it. And I'm starting with that because I think it's important for you just to turn the buttons on and put yourself out there, and not worry about how cool it is, or how cool it looks, or if you said it the right way, or if you stumbled over your words. I don't think you need a script. I think that you just need to turn on the cameras and make the phone calls and send the messages, and just continue, again, like I said, removing as many unknowns as you can for the people you care about. And our clients, no matter what business you're in, have got to be high up on that list. If we ever want to go back,
What about risk management when it comes to that? Like, I know a lot of people sometimes are really scared or concerned to say something that maybe they could get in trouble for. Like, how do you handle that within your head?
So I'm going to go back 1 second to your last question. So we do Instagram, we do Facebook, we do Zoom. We can, and this actually speaks to your next question as far as risk management goes. We control Zoom. I can't control Facebook, and I can't control Instagram. I can control Zoom, or whatever other meeting platform you use, right? Zoom doesn't need our help with promotion any longer.
Sure.
So whatever platform you're using, when we get people to those platforms, we share differently. So, and I'm using those platforms, I'm leveraging the open platforms to get people to my closed platform. Because what I would really like to do is have everybody on Zoom and turn Facebook off. Because then I know who I'm talking to, and I can speak candidly and honestly, and I know who's there, and I can see you, and I can coach you, and I can make connections with you that I can't when I'm just staring at myself on a screen. Facebook live video. So what I try to do is leverage the social side to reduce my risk management by bringing people into these kinds of calls. If you notice, my noon call is never posted. Those calls are for those people that take a minute and sign on. They get me candid 110% for as much time as it takes to get through that call. On the workout, you know what? It starts at 9 or whatever it is, and it ends at 10, and that's what you get. If you take the time to log on to these other moments, these other learning opportunities, you get more. And so I use that level and distribution of my services and time in order to control the environment. And that's how I control my risk management. As far as what I can and cannot say, when it comes to the coronavirus and the government and assistance, I'm a lot more apt to ask you your opinion than give you mine. And you probably saw that on the call the other day. I was letting the people lead the conversation. When it comes to the virus itself, I don't speak on it at all because I have no idea. There's no reason for me to share an opinion that can be misinterpreted or taken the wrong way, because I just don't know. And you'll never see me post anything about it or say anything about it because I'm not a scientist and I have no idea. Not a doctor. I have opinions. Those are from my family. But in these environments, they're just not smart to share. As far as like the financial crisis side of it and the government assistance side of it, I think it is smart to be vulnerable and candid about the process, because the worst thing that could happen is for your clients and people to think that you're all good and they're not, because you're going to cause a divide with them. So I think being really honest about your process of looking for government assistance or not, your process of taking an SBA loan or not. I have always felt that being strategically candid is a better way to serve your people than being a closed book. A closed book and hiding everything financial. Like, I don't need you to show me your tax returns, but if you did go get an SBA loan and you're taking on this extra burden, I think that's okay to share right now. And I think it's smart to share right now, because if I'm a homeowner who or a building owner who wants you guys to come out and do a big project, think this is what will be going through the mind of your future client. Freestone didn't need any government help. They should give me a better deal on my next job. And I promise you those things are going through people's heads if you're not sharing your own challenges. And so that trickle down effect happens everywhere. I'll give my own example. My landlord, if they're getting government assistance, everybody in the building thinks that we should be getting some sort of equal compensation on payments, correct? Mm-hmm. So being open about it, I think, provides a safe space for you and your clients and people that you're doing work for to be on the same level for now. And right now, I think universally across the country, I shared this with you yesterday, I think that right now, for more so than ever in the history of our country, we are as equal as we have ever been. Yeah. I think the stay-at-home order, the stripping of titles and jobs and everything has exposed everybody for their real true opinions about a real true situation that they can't control. And man, it is interesting to see people talk about it and respond to it.
That is awesome. Well, on that note, I want to ask Erik. Erik, what has been going on with how you've kind of been reaching out and the pulse of what Dennis was kind of just talking about? I know there's some correlations there. So
yeah. Well, I mean that was a great point that he ended on. I think you and I were talking about that earlier about how this is sort of kind of leveling the playing field on a number of levels. Macro level, business level. Just even contribution level at the individual level within the company. I think it does present some opportunities for growth and for kind of establishing yourself, as weird as that kind of sounds. But I think right now what I'm seeing, and we did talk about, you and I talked about this a little bit earlier too, was how do you, for us, it's about facilitating business, right? For example, in the HOA world, you may have some older board members. A lot of the board meetings right now have to be they're trying to be conducted this way through Zoom and through online meetings. How do you deal with those older board members who don't have laptops, who can't conduct the meeting by Zoom? So maybe a solution is we drive out there and we're their laptop. We take our laptop with them so they can kind of participate in the meeting. So just kind of getting creative, thinking a little bit outside the box, out of how you normally would do things, I think is super key. Not being afraid to, Dennis mentioned communication. I think I wrote down, it doesn't have to be pretty. It's really just about making the communication, making the effort, reaching out, letting people know. I think I wrote down, don't disappear, letting people know that you didn't disappear. I think the people that make that extra effort, that try to think about doing things a little bit differently, are probably the ones that are going to be a little bit more successful, that actually may, like Freestone did during the last recession, actually grow during that period. So that's what I think I'm most excited about. I think that's what I'm trying to get the clients to see, that, that it's, we want to be worried about what's happening around us and take care of our neighbors and all that stuff. But we also still have to figure out a way to survive in this environment, because I think we've all realized that, no one's going to flip a switch and we're going to all right back into our office. We're going to have to kind of figure out how to operate in kind of the new normal.
Can I touch on something on that real quick?
So
one of the things that I found over the last 48 hours that I started doing was and Justin and Kevin, this, I would never, ever before this ask the opinion of members on a mass scale. In other words, I will never do a poll. Like, that is the worst business move ever, right? Like, to ask openly question as a poll. Like, that's putting yourself in a really bad predicament. But in this new environment, to your point, Erik, some things have got to change, and a different mindset has to be around the way that you conduct yourself. And one of the things people have right now is fear. And if I allow them to reduce their own fear, then I can't be the sales guy anymore. I'm not being salesy by saying it's going to be okay. When I say to them, like I've done in the last 48 hours, what will make you feel okay? What can I do in the club that will make you feel safe to come back? If I open the club tomorrow, would you come back? I would never have done this under any other circumstances. But right now, if you put them in charge of reducing their fear, then you can act on that in addition to your own smart stuff that you're going to do, but you put it on them. So, like, for example, if you have a client who's worried about having the workers come back, right? Well, hey, you know what? What would reduce your fear? Because we're going to come do what we do, right? We're going to do this project together. And I just really want to know from you, what's going to reduce your fear? What should we wear? What are your thoughts on this thing? Though, for the first time ever, I think you got to put them in charge of some of this, because it's a personal fear now. Now, I don't need anyone's business advice on my clients, right? I learn a lot from all the people all the time, but I usually will solicit that from people who I see I can learn from. But when it comes to delivering your services, you usually wouldn't ask, for example, in roofing, I'm not going to ask the customer what's the best kind of nail, right? I know what I'm going to do. But in this situation, you do need their input if you want their buy-in. And so if you want their buy-in, you got to say, hey, you know what? We're going to be at your condo. We're going to be at your house. We're going to be at your apartment building. These are the precautions we're taking. What are a couple extra things we could do to make you feel even better?
Yeah, I think part of the reason why I think that conversation can happen is people are thinking about it. Because honestly, if you had this conversation 3 months ago, people, I don't know what makes me more comfortable. Do the job. I mean, I don't know. But now there's a few other things on people's minds, and, whether it's they're watching stuff or, they're having the conversations at night with their spouses or their families or whatever. I mean, these things are on their minds. So I think it's just actually a really good time to engage people in those type of conversations.
Yeah. And that shifts the way you're asking the question, really. Like, you're desiring information from them so that that you can touch the bullet points that might be negative or positive for their aspect. So it's, even as from a sales point of view and marketing and everything else, just trying to understand what they need and what their desires are. It forces you to shift that question and forces you to think differently.
Everybody's emotional right now. Usually when you put together a quote, people are looking at finances, and we've all dealt with 1,000 different people about how they feel about their money or want to spend their money. We've all negotiated different contracts and things like that. And so that's what we're used to, right? So you know where to give leverage and not give leverage in those conversations. In this moment, people need to own things and feel comfortable, because it is scary and emotional. It's an It's a completely different environment. It's not go give you a quote, and if you like my numbers, we're going to come. I'm going to give you a quote. Here's my numbers, and here's how I'm going to involve you in this to make sure that you don't feel scared about these other things. It's a whole new ballgame, and for you guys in your industry, no one else is going to do it. I promise you, there's not a lot of other construction companies having calls like this, thinking about the mindset of their customer and how they're going to deliver their services and or ask for the opportunity to deliver their services, right?
Yeah.
That's where you got to go with it in your head, is how am I even going to approach this person and ask for the opportunity to, and let them know that even though they're scared right now, the new roof on their house or the new paint on the building, it's still really important. And here's how, and we want to come do it, because there's such a fine line of pushing it on them and feeling salesy, right? Like, because your company needs it. And so now I think you should do this project. People will quickly interpret that as you're not really caring about the extenuating circumstance. You just want the work. But if you involve them in the discussion of how they want the work delivered, I think you remove a lot of that.
Yeah, and there's a trust, and so that's a perfect segue towards Christie. Open floor for you, but we talked about the details and how contractors and companies need to really pay attention to those as they're talking to the board and different associations. So what do you have for us on how your week's been and what Dennis has for conversation?
Yeah, I agree with Dennis. Communication, it's always been important, but now more than ever, it's meeting people where they're at and their style of communication. There's a lot of people that don't feel comfortable getting on Zoom yet. Every time I talk to someone like that, I always encourage them, like, let's just jump on and we'll have fun. No judgment, right? There's people that want to talk on the phone, the email. It's meeting people where they're at right now. And I think, Dennis, like what you're saying and why you're seeing success in your business right now is because you're doing that. The one thing that I will say that all of the generations, Dennis, you probably don't know, but I'm kind of a nerd when it comes to the multi-generational workforce. So I'm absolutely obsessed with it. And it's fascinating to watch all of us, right? All the generations right now, there's all that, it's fear. So that we have something in common. So I'm seeing, like, reaching out and just meeting, like you said, the different people where they are. And it's just fascinating. I feel like people are becoming more like one, like we're coming together. And I don't know, maybe I'm just seeing that. I'm an optimist. So I like to see, like, the good in the situation. I realize what's going on. I like to keep it real as well. But at the same time, there's so much opportunity for growth. And, I just tapping into that and surrounding yourself with people like what you're doing. I don't think a lot of people are doing this yet. So I think we're onto something that's good and that's going to give back. And I hope that, this starts spreading. So we're kind of spread the positivity and yeah, that's kind of like my update. I don't know. Yeah. Everything is it's one day at a time. Today's good. Today's a good day.
Sometimes it's halfway through the day.
you just don't know. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You just don't know.
So Laura,
thank you for asking.
You're welcome. Thank you. Laura, you and I were chatting this week about just kind of things that are happening within the common interest development industry and what our next potential steps are. You carry the hashtag Be the Change. You are that person exactly, which is why, you've done tremendous in your profession. This week, I seen that you happened to go take some action and actually go visit with, whether it be voice or phone call with an assemblywoman from California. Can you give us an update on that and kind of give us some introspective to that whole conversation?
Yeah. So I met with my assemblywoman, Rebecca Bauer-Cannon, her representatives, her staffers. It's actually really cool. A lot of the assembly representatives and senators are setting up Zoom meetings, and they're allowing you to go in separate meeting rooms where you can have a one-on-one Zoom conversation with your representatives about what's impacting you in questions that you have about COVID. I know that Senator Glazer and Assemblywoman Rebecca Bauer-Cannon tonight have a group Zoom together for their constituents to come and ask questions about COVID and how it's impacting their communities, the workplaces. I will be attending and talking about how it's impacting homeowners associations. We are right now asking the governor to loosen the Davis-Sterling Act like he has with the Brown Act to allow us legally to meet electronically with our boards. Right now we are doing it, but there's no one out there saying that we aren't going to be facing repercussions for it later. We're just doing the best that we can do for our communities so that we can handle the essential things that need to be done. But there's a lot of civil code requirements that managers and associations have to meet, and right now we can't with the shelter-in-place order. So going through all of those things and making sure that they clearly understand why we can't do it, what we need, and
Did we lose her?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lost her audio. Nope. I had a question about that David Sterling Act.
unstable.
Oh, there you are, Laura.
Am I back? I don't know what is going on. Apparently everybody's using the internet in my little court right now because it just keeps bouncing around. Maybe they're all connected to mine and I should change my password. So I would, the best thing I think you can do is go to Facebook, go to your town hall. You can register as a constituent. It will put you in contact with your assembly person, your senator. You can comment on their things. When you comment, you get a little badge that says constituent, so they know that you're an actual constituent making a comment. If you follow their pages, you can attend these Zoom meetings with them. If you need information from homeowners associations and what we need help with, reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to share that information with you. But realistically, allow your voice to be heard. Right now is the biggest time to make that happen. We have no idea how long this is going to last. We don't know what the longer impacts are going to be on our communities. So how do we take it to the next level and make sure that we are considered for some relief? Make sure that the government knows that we're there, because unfortunately homeowners associations kind of fit in that gray area where we're not getting hit on the left or the right. We're just kind of in the middle. So we want to make sure that we're being acknowledged and we understand, and asking them to define what is an essential service for a homeowners association. If you ask me, roofing, painting, dry rot is an essential service. You're protecting capital asset. And our entire job is to maintain and enhance property values. So if we don't have that work done, then we're not doing this, and then we have a real estate crash after this. Nobody wants that to happen either. So how do we all do this, work together? So if you need help getting in contact with your representatives, or if you need help having a conversation with them, let me know. I'd be more happy to share that information with you.
Yeah, I think that would be awesome if you could share it at least with us, and we can put it out there. I think it's important. I think even us as contractors, as we're talking to other companies, we're hearing that they've kind of shut down and not doing anything, and they don't really know what to do. So instead of just stalemating, it would be nice to kind of get people together and go, at least do this. Like, if you're not doing anything else, just jump on this call, jump on this. Let's figure out ways for us all to get back to work. Because this idea that we're holding the hammers and there's going to be a nail and we're going to be able to hit it, we may never see that nail to make all this work. And we need to go out there and figure out how to get it done so that we can continue to take care of our community. So, cool.
And your representatives want to hear from you. That they are literally asking you for your opinions and your thoughts.
Awesome. Justin, you want to round us up and your final thoughts about everything we've been kind of chatting about and what our next steps are, and kind of what you're thinking here?
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what Dennis said and what you guys are saying about human connection. I've gotten more response this week out of this story about this turtle in a creek by my house. My daughter wants a class pet, and she has this plan for me to go in this nasty creek by my house and catch this turtle, which I don't really want to do, but she wants this class pet. So, but anyway, my leading and my clients have shared this story about, here I'm in this work environment in my garage, homeschooling my kids, and have this plan to catch this turtle. And I've gotten more response out of that story, but in sharing some vulnerable stuff that I'm going through, 'cause we're all going through this very unique situation that we're in, it's opened up conversations candidly on what our availability in Freestone is. And yeah, they may not be allowing this work, but it allowed us to go in and do a window project for a vacant unit. And just letting them know that we're here and we're available in whatever capacity they need. They also got a proposal request for a concrete job, which we didn't get because we were a little bit high. But it's important that we stay connected with our clients, letting them know that we're still here and still able to service in whatever capacity that they need us. And even leading into some of the bigger proposal requests, the last thing that we want is this bottleneck that could happen at the end of this thing, that everybody kind of has held their bag. And then at the end, they're going to be like, okay, now what do we release? What do we do? And kind of coaching them into the importance of releasing some of this exterior stuff that could beautify their property or whatnot, and just saying that it's going to be okay, and letting them speak and kind of walking alongside them through this.
Yeah, that's the big message here, is that it's going to be okay. We just need to kind of take the steps forward to figure it all out. So as we've done on every episode over the past couple of weeks, one thing of gratitude that we're super excited or happy about, so we don't put Dennis on the spot, I'll give him a little bit time to think. I will choose Christie and put Christie on the spot first. What is one thing today that you are like stoked or happy or have some gratitude for and about? Did she disappear on me?
No, I'm here. I am, let's see, I did my job, I think, the last time. I would say meeting and doing this weekly little video chat. I think it's just a great place to connect with people and hear the ideas of what's going on. I didn't think about like what Laura was just sharing about reaching out to our local government. So I want to connect with you, Laura, about that and see what I can do down here in Southern California. Don't really know like where I would go, but now that you brought it up, I'm pretty sure I'm going to know. So I'd like to definitely get involved. But yeah, just thankful for each of you, actually. Right now, that's what I'm thankful for. Thank you for showing up.
Erik, what's one thing?
All right. Well, so full disclosure, this is going to be a little bit of an ass-kiss moment to Brian, but I would like to really show my appreciation for having a job with Beat Taylor and Freestone Reconstruction, and I do mean that sincerely. There's, I think, 16 million people or something that have filed for unemployment in the last month or so, something like that. I think we're fortunate to work for somebody that understands the long-term game and has sort of planned for that. And I'm incredibly grateful that I work in a place where that shares my values, that shares just the things that you would want to look for in a company. So I'm grateful to my boss and having a job.
Awesome. Laura, you're up.
Well, I would second what Christie and Erik said. I'm extremely grateful for Jason Brown, the owner of our company, keeping as many of us employed as he can, making sure that we're not stressed out and overwhelmed to the best of his ability, and giving us the tools that we need to do the best that we can. But I also want to actually give a huge shout out to the local government officials. I really appreciate the initiatives and the efforts that they're taking to hear us, to make it easy, to make it accessible. It's not normally as easy to get a one-on-one with a staffer or an assembly person or a senator as it is right now. And the fact that in a crisis, they're making that happen, to me, that's just remarkable.
Awesome. Justin, go ahead.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Erik and people's sentiment about their jobs. But what I'm most thankful for today is the friendships that I have around me right now. It's amazing the men and women that I have around me that we're able to share what we're going through in this experience with. Some of them are working and some of them are not, but to have the people around me that I have today builds me up to be the man that I am. It betters my family and it betters everything around me. So I'm super grateful for that today.
Awesome. Dennis, what do you have for us?
You know what, today specifically, I was grateful to be able to go out between all of the calls that we've been on and watch my little 4-year-old ride her bike and jump the ramps for the first time today. So just grateful for being home to be able to see stuff like that. And we have a lot of kids in our neighborhood who ride their bikes through the dirt tracks and things that are around here. And she's 4 and she won't be 5 until late November. And she went from training wheels to no training wheels to jumping off of the ramps in the last week and a half. And so getting to watch her do that and He is a part of the kids around here. The older kids have their little dirt bike jumper gang, and they have little T-shirts, and they're all, you know, between 7 and 10 years old. And she did her jump and proclaimed that she's now part of the crew.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, and finally, I'm most grateful right now of just the opportunities that we are all allowed to have at this point in time. You know, a lot of the news and a lot of the things that are happening in life are really stressful. But you know, much like Justin, the friends, the workers, the people, the teams, everybody that is really surrounding my life right now has been really positive. I've got a couple that are skating that line of, man, I don't know if I'm going to be friends with them after all this, but I think they're probably thinking the same thing of me. So I'm super grateful to have all of the friends outside of this, but also everybody here as well. So appreciate you. So that's it. Thank you so much for taking the time and bringing awareness to everybody. Really appreciate you all. And we're going to do this again next week, and, you know, bring some more people on and talk a little bit more about not just the common interest development and the multifamily, but just really what's going on in all of our lives, whether it be in, you know, business or general contracting or fitness. And for everybody that wants to follow Dennis and DFIT and everything that you're doing, Dennis, can you give us where can they go to really find you if they want to do some workouts and stuff?
Yeah, well, everything is free right now. We have workouts at 8:30 in the morning. We have a mindset call at noon, and we have another workout every day at 5 p.m. If you go to the Facebook page for Omni Fight Club Livermore, you'll be able to find all of the login information, and you'll also be able to see, if you click on videos, about 100 videos of all of the classes that we've done since the quarantine, and you can choose to follow any of those workouts anytime you want. If you have any issues with that, getting and finding the links and things, you can email me at dennis@dfitenterprises.com, and I will give you everything you need. But yeah, everything is free and fun, and it's scalable to any kind of fitness level that you're at, or injuries that you might have, or any of those things. So it's a lot of fun. It's a great community, and the noon calls are probably my favorite. It's a good reset for the mind and some candid sharing. So
awesome. Well, thank you once again, Dennis. Thanks so much, Erik, Justin, Laura, Christie, for being a part of this.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Keven, okay, stay on. I want to